Hey! Your friendly pink-eared mammal here. Today we're going to talk about Slime VR. For those who don't know, Slime VR is a standalone full-body tracking solution. For a long time, and still now to an extent, Vive trackers have been somewhat ruling the full-body tracking market for VR. But one issue with them is that you need base stations. And with small play spaces, it's pretty inconvenient, as well as expensive. That's where Slime VR comes in. Instead of relying on base stations, each tracker tracks itself in space with IMUs, initial measurement units. Now, I'm not going to pretend I know anything about IMUs, so take all that I say with a large fist-sized grain of salt. But essentially, from what I understand, IMUs don't know where they are in space initially, but they do know where they move from that initial point. To a degree. Not only do they not require base stations, but they're also much cheaper than Vive trackers. For a long time, you couldn't get official slimes due to COVID and chip shortages, but as of a few weeks ago, they're finally officially in stock and customers are slowly but surely receiving theirs. So this begs the question, are Slime VRs actually any good? Slime VR sent me this review kit and didn't ask for me to glaze them or anything like that, and I appreciate that amount of transparency. Thank you, Slime. First off, I received the tracker in this neat box. 7 trackers, 3 extensions, along with their corresponding straps and connectors. They included extras for those, which is pretty nice. Apparently, people had trouble with the straps, cases, and cables being too flimsy, and these are upgraded ones which are supposed to be more sturdy. I noticed the straps had this paste on the inner layer which sticks better to clothing, which is very nice as these trackers tend to work much better when properly attached. I've had no issues there except for something which I'll get on in a bit. With the box came nice stickers and useful stickers to label your trackers, which, considering there are 10 of them and you need to know which is which, that's very nice. However, I ran into a few issues. I'm not very bright, so maybe that's just me, but I didn't know what trackers to use for what. You're given 10 trackers, 3 of which are extensions, and for an hour or two, I was stumped as to what tracker should be attached to where. Should I use the extension for chest tracking or for hip tracking? Should I do shoulder, upper arm, lower arm, neck? Confusing thoughts rushed through my mind. And eventually, I got it. Here's my setup, I'm pretty sure it's standard, but not having this information readily available on a piece of paper inside or on the website and having to look it up was a bit troublesome. Also, it may have been my skill issue, given the Slime VR server lets you know what mounting points are best depending on your setup. Slime VR isn't SteamVR native. It needs the Slime VR server running in back doing the heavy lifting. Since trackers don't know where they are in space, just where they are compared to before, they need to adhere to a virtual skeleton, which will apply IK and interpret the data sent to the slimes. This virtual skeleton is based off of your own proportions, which you can measure manually or do what people call the Slime VR dance, which you only need to do once, if you get it right. It took me a few tries, but once I got it right, I just got it right, and it worked great. People make it out to be a big deal, but it really wasn't that bad. Also, now I have another dance move to bust on the dance floor. If you get slimes, you need to check Xerox channel out. They're probably the person that knows how to get the best tracking out of slimes. I'm glazing them, because without them, I don't think I'd have any proper tracking. While, for example, in the mounting calibration, the character wasn't on its tippy toes, I found out thanks to their video and advice that raising your ankles slightly prevents lots of issues for me, such as my ankles going to the right for no reason. I'm kind of sad not more of their videos are included on the Slime Docs, given how useful they turned out to be for me. But I probably couldn't find them, I'm not the best at finding stuff. Another thing I need to touch on is the chest tracker. Now, chest tracking is really cool, as is arm tracking. It's certainly not as essential as lower body tracking, but I do kind of miss it when going back to my Vive trackers. But there's a catch, and I understand it's probably because of the cost, but the strap for the chest is the same as the hip strap. Now, let me explain why that's an issue. When you lift your arm, you also lift your humerus, which extends the latissimus dorsi, which is attached to it, and to the back. Meaning that whenever you lift your arms, your chest will take a little bit more of a V shape. Now, that wouldn't be an issue if the strap was properly attached to the shoulders or had a way to stick better to the body. Wait a second. Well, fuck! While making this review, I realized that the only real grievance I had with what I had been sent could easily be overlooked depending on your setup. Now, what's cool about slimes is that you can put them on your clothing or underneath it. And at first I thought the glue was actually meant to stick better to clothing, but after trying out under my clothing I realized that the glue is actually meant to stick better to your body, which means my complaint is not that relevant anymore. Though it would be nice to have a harness for those who want the tracker outside and not inside the clothing, it's still much better than I thought, and honestly, I don't know if I have a right to complain anymore. As you can see, even during the recording and editing of this review, I learned something new about slimes, which is really not that surprising. I tried to manage my expectations at first, but ended up being somewhat disappointed on arrival because I had so many issues. But this is not a bit about disappointment. This is a bit about patience. Vive trackers are plug and play. Slimes take a little bit more time. You're gonna have to learn a few things. But I saw my friends Uchiki and Flaky use Slime VR and having great tracking, and I thought, well, maybe that's just me. Maybe I just need to take a little bit more time, put in a little bit more work into it, learn a few things, and maybe things will turn out great. And boy, did they turn out great! Slime VR holds a lot of meetups to help people better calibrate. And guess who's hosting them? I'm glazing them. Anyway, slowly but surely, as I learned more and more, my tracking only got better. Most if not all the problems I had run into had solutions. From things not properly syncing up, to drifting, to my arms being weird. I finally got to try the Quest Pro with Slimes, a completely wireless and self-tracked combo. And I'll be honest, it really holds up. It feels very liberating. Especially someone with a tiny room. It's some great stuff. The tracking is really impressive and holds up really well. I'll be honest, I started off being kind of disappointed, but I'm really glad I didn't give up. Because now, my tracking is pretty insane, and I can move around my room completely untethered. Obviously, drifting is still an issue. The trackers will move from their original position over time, but it can be mitigated greatly with different settings on the Slime server and calibration methods. And hey, you can always double tap the chest tracker to bring the trackers back in position. Somehow. I'm starting to think Slime VR uses some kind of black magic from time to time. And while it's a bit annoying, Slime VR makes up for it with a lot of pros that base station trackers simply cannot offer. For instance, another thing that's really cool about Slimes is that they have no issue with occlusion. They are self-tracked. Covering yourself with a blanket, they don't care. Putting the trackers under your clothes works great. This also applies to positions that wouldn't be possible with Vive trackers. Maybe push-ups or touching your feet, but what I think will make most people happy is the battery life. I've played with them for quite a bit for this review and haven't recharged them once since I got them. And they still have quite a bit of battery, contrary to Vive trackers, which tend to die so easily. This really becomes great for VR chat sessions that last over 7 hours, which I know is the case for many. I see y'all with 100 hours a week. Is your sleep schedule okay? When they work, the trackers simply work. And I can say that if I didn't have Vives, I probably wouldn't mind having Slimes, especially for a wireless setup. Not having to worry about base stations is awesome, and using a Quest for example, and Vive trackers, you'll get drift anyway, so there's no loss. But on a native Steam VR setup, are they better? Well, the tracking is not near as perfect as Vive trackers, that's for sure. But I really don't think it needs to be. For most people, this is going to be more than enough. So, are Slime VR trackers actually good? My answer would be a resounding yes. Not only are they more affordable, allowing you to buy trackers, but also upgrade over time and add more for more accurate tracking, but they're also very convenient. Not having to worry about base stations, being in range, and just being yourself, more expressive, more goofy, more silly, is all that I've ever wanted in trackers. Personally, they've become my main trackers. I'm using them right now, and I'm really loving them. Just having more points of tracking and being able to go into silly positions is all I live for. I'm simply happy that full body tracking is becoming more affordable. And hey, if you already have trackers, they could always make for a great gift.
Is for me?
Thank you for watching until the end. I honestly appreciate it. And thank you to Slime once again for sending me these trackers to review. I never expected to have that kind of opportunity, but I guess life happens sometimes. If you liked the video, don't hesitate to leave a like, subscribe, hit the bell, whatever YouTubers say usually. This is my first long form video, and this was fun to make and very hard also. It's a huge change of pace. I think I did okay. I'll probably look back on it and think it's pretty cringe, but that's fine. I accepted that long ago, so that should be okay. But yeah, if you also like the avatar I wear, that's an avatar I make. I make avatars. Check out my Gumroad, link in bio. It's pretty cool. I like my stuff. And if you just want to support me for what I do, I have a Ko-fi or Ko-fi, whatever you call it. You can check that out too, and send me a little tippy toe, and it's always welcome. I love money. Thank you very much, and have a good day.